You've been with Door County Habitat for Humanity for a little bit of time now. First of all, I know I'm interested. I'm sure some of our readers and listeners are interested as well. Kind of describe that road that you took to get from your last position to your current position as the Executive Director of the Door County Habitat for Humanity.
Well, that is a very good question. It really wasn't so much of a road as kind of just a diversion. I was not actively looking for employment, but my wife and I have been meaning to get up to Door County full time, and I'd seen the job in the paper and it looked very interesting, and I just investigated a little bit and thought, why not? So I applied for it, and then when they called for an interview, I dug a little deeper and thought, and then learned a lot more about Habitat, and really became just totally intrigued with the position and the organization, and thought, this is a good direction for me to take. So here I am.
All right. What's your background? What did you do before your time at Habitat for Humanity?
I worked for the Girl Scout Council, or Girl Scouting organization, for about 15 years, and I have 2 years with the YWCA in Green Bay, and then I also worked 2.5 years in an engineering role in Mexico.
Okay, so it seems like you have a lot of experience working with nonprofit groups. How does Habitat for Humanity compare to those other nonprofit opportunities that you've worked for?
It is, I think, out of the 3 I've worked for now, Habitat included, I am just amazed at the commitment of the volunteers within this organization. I don't want to diminish the roles that the volunteers play in the other organizations I worked for, but because it's probably a more volunteer-driven, much smaller staff, the volunteers really do step up and do a lot of the operational things that I had to do in my past jobs, which then frees me up to do some of the other things I need to do, which in order to get forward the mission of the organization.
Okay, and smaller staff, is that pretty much the main challenge that you've had since you've come on?
I wouldn't call it a challenge, but it's very different. It's kind of a mixed blessing. It wouldn't work without the commitment of our volunteers. I mean, you either have to pay somebody to do it, or you need volunteers to step up and do the work that would otherwise have to be done by staff people.
Okay, so you've been on for a little bit now. How many homes have you been a part of, like the official opening of the home? And can you kind of describe that feeling you got when you're able to hand the keys to a poor family and said, here you go, here's your brand new house that our team of volunteers built for you?
Sure. I actually have not been directly involved with a build yet, but I did have the good fortune when I was hired, or just before I started actually, they did the dedication for the last home that was built, the 37th home here in Door County in Egg Harbor. And I went to the dedication of that home, and that was, I actually felt a little awkward because I had nothing to do with it, but as an outsider looking in, I had a very, very good feeling, but the awkwardness came from the fact that I didn't have anything to do with it, so I kind of like I shouldn't be there. But being there really was an amazing thing. And then later, when we actually did the closing for the house, which was a couple weeks later, that was actually even more moving, just watching the excitement of the partner family, signing their documents and knowing that this is going to be a reality and they would be moving in the coming days. That was amazing. And I'm really looking forward to our build for this year. We're just kind of getting into the process with the partner family right now, picking out lots and picking out floor plans.
All right. And moving forward, goals that you might have as the new executive director, maybe when we talk at this time next year, what do you hope that you would have accomplished?
Well, I hope that we would have accomplished the goals that have been set forth by the board are 2 homes built this build season, and 8 to 10 Brush with Kindness projects. And those are smaller, critical projects. Generally, they help keep people in homes. And to make that happen, though, my personal goals, and also somewhat of the goals of the board of directors, is we have to have a balance between the number of partner families we have in the pipeline and land we need to build on, and our volunteers, making sure we're supporting our volunteers and recruiting and retaining new volunteers to enable us to build these homes. And the last thing we need is dollars to buy the materials to build the homes.
Okay, and you said that you're working with a partner family right now for that next build that you're doing. kind of go through that process a little bit.
Well, the partner family approval process, that was already taken care of, and right now we do have the one approved partner family. So again, not going through 100% from beginning to end process. I mean, actually, you know, having a family fill out an application and having them approved, which a lot of that is done by the volunteers, which is another one of those wonderful things, because if we had to take the time to go through and interview all these partner families, it's very labor intensive time. You know, you're doing home visits, you're doing credit checks, you're doing all these things that would take up staff time and not allow us to do other things. So the volunteer committee actually does the actual interviewing and home visits and a lot of the legwork involved with approving a partner family for the projects. But anyway, the family we had has been approved, and so I was able to call her and let her know that she was next in line, and then that she would be building for her, hopefully starting April 1, which is always our target date, weather dependent. And she was very excited, and that was very cool too. I mean, she's a young woman with two young children, and their current housing conditions are less than desirable, I guess would be the best way to put it. And she's very excited about moving into a new home that she will own.
All right. Upcoming events, how can people support Habitat for Humanity?
Well, that is an excellent question. We just got done with our soup event this last week, and that was a fantastic event, and we had a lot of people turn out. I was hearing again, this is my first year for this as a staff person. I've attended it as a visitor in the past. That was well attended, and from what I understand from some of the volunteers and the previous current staff, that it was probably one of the best years we've had. We also have our bowl-a-thon coming up on February 28th at Cherry Lanes here in Sturgeon Bay. We are looking for bowlers, or if you're interested in pledging bowlers, you can certainly call our office at 743-2869 or visit our website at doorcountyhabitat.org, and the information is out there. And that will be raising some of the dollars and some of the awareness for Door County Habitat and some of the dollars necessary to buy those materials to build this home for our partner family. We also had the good fortune of receiving a donation from one of the resorts here in town, or one of the inns. They are remodeling, and we're having a furniture sale that's coming up on March 6th and 7th. That's a 2-day event. Lots of great furniture. There's some hide-a-beds, love seats, sofas, chairs, ottomans. We're selling them as groups or individual pieces, you know, so if anybody needs furniture for college dorms, basement, cottage, come and see us on March 6th and 7th out at the warehouse, the old, what's it called, the B&T television warehouse on Egg Harbor Road. And come and shop for some furniture, and then that'll help raise some of the dollars also necessary to buy the materials to have that build this spring.
All right, one final question for you. I mean, we kind of touched on it earlier. You work for a lot of nonprofits. How is working for a nonprofit different than maybe your life before working for nonprofits, or maybe some of the other situations that you've kind of heard? I mean, it's definitely an interesting way of going for work.
Sure, good question. What I enjoy about nonprofits, and it's not something I chose, I would think rather it chose me, but I have had the opportunity, my 2.5 years I worked for a for-profit in Mexico. Although that was a fantastic experience, I learned a lot, but working for a big for-profit company was not rewarding for me. I mean, besides, you know, the salary, which we need, but the nonprofit, I often don't even think about what I'm getting paid. I just think about the reward of doing the job I'm doing and knowing that I'm serving people who are in need and need help. Whether that was with the Girl Scouting organization, the YWCA in Green Bay, or